We'll call the meeting to order for the Wicomico County Council Legislative Session 2018-15, July 3rd, 2018. Those that would like to stand and join us in the Lord's Prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, please do.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Entertain a motion from council to approve the legislative minutes from June 19th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, minutes are approved. Entertain a motion to approve the open work session minutes from June 1st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, minutes are approved. Entertain a motion to approve the open work session minutes from June 5th, 2018, in reference to a sale of land.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any corrections? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, minutes are approved. Entertain a motion to approve the open work session minutes from June 5th, 2018, in reference to the update on stormwater management.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any corrections? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, minutes are approved. Entertain a motion to approve the open work session minutes from June 5th in reference to the countywide housing rehabilitation program.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, minutes are approved. Good evening, Mr. Taylor, how are you?
Good evening. One matter tonight, a public hearing. It's on legislative bill number 2018-07, which is an act to amend the Wicomico County Personnel Manual, Chapter 9, entitled Work Rules, Chapter 10, excuse me, entitled Employee Benefits, and Chapter 15, entitled Leave and Holiday Benefits, to comply with the Maryland Healthy Working Families Act.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. At this time, we open the floor for public hearing on legislative bill 2018-07. If you have any comments that you'd like to make in reference to this legislative bill, come to the podium. Please state your name and your county of residence. This concludes the public hearing on legislative bill number 2018-07. Entertain a motion from council to approve legislative bill 2018-07.
Well, Mr. President, I'm not making a motion, by the way. I know
Yeah.
there's been some suggestion about possible changes to this.
Okay.
And I don't know if council's had time to consider those. Should we, the bill won't die if we put off consideration for another 2 weeks. Should we do that? Or, I mean, what's council's view on some of the suggestions that were made?
Well, we need a motion first to approve and a second
Okay.
to discuss that, unless you want to go directly to a table.
Well, I wouldn't have to table. We don't have to approve it yet.
Well, either or. We have the option, but I
You
would
want to table?
get it on the table. Entertain a motion,
Okay.
please, first, if we could.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Thank you, Councilman Kelly. Go ahead.
My discussion stands, so, I mean, is there thoughts about some of the changes that should be possibly made to this, or, I mean, I don't know.
Does anyone have any amendments that they'd like to consider on this legislative bill?
No, I don't, I'm not willing to make that amendment yet. I'm not too, sure about some of the thoughts about it, so.
I'd like to understand more what safe leave is.
Yeah.
Apparently that's new terminology.
We do have Mr. Wilbur in the audience, if you want to bring him forward to discuss it. His law firm prepared the ordinance.
Okay.
If you could, Mr. Wilbur, certainly. Thank you. And it's a
Paul
certain-
Wilbur.
To a certain degree, we're either going to discuss the legislative bill now or we're going to discuss it in 2 weeks, so get out on the floor right now. Thank you, Mr. Wilbur. You have a question, Councilman Dodd?
Yes, where it states sick and safe leave, and that appears to be in addition to the employee handbook, what is safe leave?
Right, that is leave which was mandated by state law.
I understand that.
To provide for situations where a spouse or people who are just acquainted with each other or feel that they might be in an abusive situation. And this provides a mechanism for them to get leave. If
Does it have to
there
do
is.
something with a hostile environment?
Well, they need to have, might say, not a doctor's note, but a note from a professional that says that they are in a situation that requires a safe leave.
Possibly an abusive situation?
Yes, that was the emphasis of the state law. So this is just bringing it down.
So what kind
To
of
the
note would
counties.
they need?
Well, it could be from a counselor,
Okay.
psychiatrist.
So they would have to be
Psychologist.
seen by a professional.
Yes.
Law enforcement?
No, I don't think the intention is so much law enforcement, is more of a counselor type person.
Is it stated in here about a note from a professional?
Yes, I can locate it.
I didn't remember seeing it. Use of sick leave. Medical care employee to care for paternity. Number of medical leave. The absence from work necessary to domestic. Engages during the sick leave, and sick may be terminated.
In section,
Is it
Larry, it's
under verification?
under verification.
That's
yeah.
where I
All
was
right,
going.
I was looking at approval as well.
Yeah, so that, I think it reads right now, HR may require them to have.
May.
Yeah, verification. Should that be HR and the employee, like the department head, or just HR? Why is it just HR?
I think that's where the review of medical, doctor's notes, psychiatrist
okay?
notes, that's where that occurs.
Okay, so it doesn't occur at the department head level, it occurs at HR?
Right.
Okay.
Did you have something you wanted to add, Wayne?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it wouldn't involve the department head because of privacy issues and possibly HIPAA issues. So it would be kept inside HR.
Okay.
So if there's an issue, who do they contact?
HR.
They would go to HR direct?
Yes.
Okay.
These can be very sensitive situations. And close hold.
I think we have to educate the employees on this as well, so they don't go tell their boss if they want to keep it private.
There's already been a memo about procedure
has
that's
been.
gone out to department heads.
Since we haven't seen it.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Thank you.
I think that takes care of any concerns.
Okay, all right, thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Any other discussion on this?
Good.
Seeing none, all those in favor, we'll begin with Councilman Hall.
Aye.
Councilman Kilmer,
Aye.
Vice President Dodd,
Aye.
Councilman Matt Holloway.
Aye.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Joe Holloway.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Legislative bill number 2018-07 passes. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mrs. Hurley, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President, council members, ladies and gentlemen. The next 4 items on the agenda are public hearings on applications for the sale of land preservation easements. The 4 public hearings are listed in one public notice that was advertised in the Daily Times, stating that a public hearing would be held this evening at 6 p.m. Council did have a work session on all 4 of these applications on June the 5th. The first public hearing is on Resolution Number 67, 2018, recommending the approval for the sale of a land preservation easement on property binding Northwest Road located west of Salisbury on tax map 29, parcel 81, consisting of 50.81 acres of land.
Thank you, Mrs. Hurley. I think we should start seeing if we can't advertise these in the Salisbury Independent. How are you, Mr. Bassett? This time, we open the floor for a public hearing on resolution number 67, 2018. If you have any comments you'd like to make in reference to this resolution, come to the podium, please. State your name, county of residence, and your concerns. That concludes the public hearing for resolution number 67, 2018. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 67, 2018.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion. I
Mr.
know-
President, for the next two resolutions, I'm going to recuse myself.
Thank you. Councilman Matt Holloway is going to recuse himself from the next two resolutions. Mrs. Smith, I know that you're here tonight. If you could come up, just give us an overview very quickly, if you don't mind. How are you tonight?
Fine.
Just state for the record your name and position. Thank you.
I'm Gloria Smith, a planner with the Planning and Zoning Department. These four applications that you have tonight, of course, we reviewed at a work session.
Right.
This is a voluntary program. The state requires a resolution from the council endorsing each application, and the four applications that are here tonight meet or exceed the minimum requirements for the state entering into the state program.
Okay. Does council have any questions in regard to this particular resolution? It's going to be quick work for you. Hang on a second. Trying to get back to the top. Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 67, 2018, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes. Again, Councilman Matt Holloway abstained. At this time, yes, Mrs. Hurley, do you want to read the next one?
I can. The next public hearing is on resolution number 68, 2018, recommending the approval for the sale of a land preservation easement on property binding Northwest Road located west of Salisbury on tax map 28, parcels number 25 and 241, consisting of 79.24 acres of land.
Thank you. At this time, we open the floor for public hearing on Resolution 68, 2018. If you have any concerns or questions in reference to this resolution, come to the podium, please. State your name and your county of residence and your concern. This concludes public hearing on Resolution 68, 2018. Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 68, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Further discussion? Questions? Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 68, 2018, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes. Again, it's unanimous except for Councilman Matt Holloway, who abstained.
Next is a public hearing on resolution number 69, 2018, recommending the approval for the sale of a land preservation easement on property binding Delmar Road, located east of Mardella Springs on tax map 9, parcel 45, consisting of 74.8 acres of land.
Thank you. At this time, we open the floor for Resolution 69, 2018. If you have any questions or concerns, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and those concerns. That concludes the public hearing on Resolution 69, 2018. Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 69, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 69, 2018, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Okay, next is a public hearing on resolution number 70, 2018, recommending the approval for the sale of a land preservation easement on property binding Quantico Road, located southwest of Hebron, on tax map 27, parcel 46, consisting of 108.36 acres of land.
Thank you. At this time, we open the floor for public hearing on Resolution 70, 2018. If you Have any questions, come to the podium, please. State your name and your county of residence and concern. This concludes the public hearing on Resolution 70, 2018. Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 70, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori.
Next for consideration is Resolution Number 65, 2018, proposing the amendment of various sections of the Wicomico County Charter. Council has had several work sessions on the proposed amendments as well as a public hearing. This resolution was introduced at the last council meeting and was tabled. It does require five council members to vote in favor of it in order for it to pass.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 65, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President, I know that it's our last meeting of the meeting before, county executive expressed some concerns with this resolution. I'd like to address a few of those. One was about the deputy directors being taken out of the, was it the merit system? I believe it's called the merit system. To clarify, nothing in this would take a deputy director out of the merit system, nor would it require that they be subject to the same reconfirmation, for lack of a better word, that happens every 4 years after an election. I do understand that there is possibly some confusion about that, and there's been a suggestion that language is put in there to talk about deputy directors upon their initial confirmation. And I would be okay with amending this to clarify that this is for deputy directors only for their initial confirmation, which I don't know if that would address some of those concerns or put to ease any of the I don't know, fears that maybe deputy directors may have, but it wouldn't change the meaning of this any, but it would clarify what they're supposed to do, and I believe that it came from Mr. Strasburg or something along those lines. So, you know, it wouldn't change the meaning of it any. We don't have to do it, but I mean, I'm okay with doing that if everyone else is. I thought I'd throw that out there for discussion.
Okay. Any comments from council? Would you, John, Councilman Hall?
It's not in reference to this, but do we have a classification for deputy director at this point, or are we creating a new position? If we're creating a new position, will that position incur an increase in salaries to the people who are assistants now or aides? And if they are, should the taxpayers be responsible for paying these? Of course they should. So I assume we're creating a new position in some sense, in some situations.
No, deputy directors.
Are there deputy directors in all departments? Not all departments. Will this create a deputy director in all the departments?
No, there are deputy directors that are in the current classification system. So this does not create any new positions. This just adds the requirement that the appointment of someone to those positions, the initial appointment, has to be confirmed by the county council.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
has no payroll impact at all.
So, Councilman Kilmer, in what you had stated earlier, did you want to restate that in the form of some type of an amendment?
All right, I'll try and see what it gets.
Yeah.
So I would move that we amend this resolution to say that the confirmation of appointments is for the Assistant Director of Administration, then add and deputy directors as it is in there, but say for the initial appointment of deputy directors when they're referenced in there. I believe the council administrator has some language to that effect.
I do.
Yeah. So,
Would you want to read that exactly? Just for the record?
I could.
I did not bring it to the table with me.
I have it here, so the charter amendment would read, Section 315A, Director of Administration, Assistant Director of Administration, Department Heads, and the initial appointment of Deputy Directors. Appointments by the County Executive of the Director of Administration, the Assistant Director of Administration, department heads or the initial appointment of, that would be part of my amendment, a deputy director of a department in the executive branch of the county government shall be subject to confirmation by the county council. And then the rest would be the same. So,
There's an amendment on the floor for Resolution 65, 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion on the amendment?
I mean, I probably should seek to clarify with Mr. Taylor, our attorney, this wouldn't change the meaning of the charter amendment, and it would just make sure that it's clarified. Is that
I think
correct?
this would be for the purpose of clarification, I believe. I mean, because I don't see how there's any substantive change here.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, amendment passes. Any further discussion on the Resolution 65, 2018? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of Resolution 65, 2018 as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried, resolution passes unanimously.
Mr. President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. At this time, we open the floor for public comments as a whole. If you have any comments that you would like to make, please come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. Right, that concludes the public hearing, public comments for tonight. Council comments. Any council comments? No. Presidential comments. I know that I'll be in Allen tomorrow. They always have their annual July 4th parade. I'll be there. You'll be, Larry will be there. Mark Gilmore will be there. John Hall? Okay. Joe Holloway will be there.
How about you, Arnie? Come join us.
We're gonna have good. We're gonna have a quorum. Yes. So anyway, we're gonna have a good turnout. The executive, Bob, you're gonna be there, right? Yeah, sure. And I know that Sheriff Lewis is gonna be there. So if you're anywhere in the Allen area, it starts at 2 o'clock. Make sure you come down, and it's a great parade. We have a lot of fun there, and then they have a lot of food and handmade ice cream afterwards. Excuse me? A lot of what? Water. A lot of water. Yeah, no kidding, a lot of water. So that's tomorrow at 2 o'clock in Allen. So it's a great time, a lot of fun. At this time, I need to get to my paperwork. At this time, I think we'll bring somebody in to formally read the adjournment for us. You know, like a sergeant at arms that can do this. This time, entertain a motion to adjourn from the legislative session to convene as the Urban Services Commission, followed by an open work session before the Wicomico County Council, and then into a closed work session pursuant to the Local Government Article Section 3-305B1 to discuss a personnel matter to protect the individual's confidentiality.
Yeah, motion?
That's a motion. Entertain a motion.
Got it? Yes.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. At this time, entertain a motion to convene as the Urban Services Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're now convened as the Urban Services Commission. Mrs. Hurley, do you want to go through the resolutions?
Yes, sir. The first item before the Urban Services Commission this evening is Resolution 05-2018. This is to establish a procedure for the billing, deposits, and payment of invoices associated with the sewage system replacement fund required by the amended and restated shared facility agreement for the Village Downriver Condominium Association Incorporated. There is an updated version of Exhibit A on the council table. There has been some additional language added to that policy, and that is highlighted in yellow for you. And Mr. Wilbur and Mr. Taylor have both been working on this policy together, so I'm sure they're happy to answer any questions.
Entertain a motion from council to approve, from Urban Services Commission to approve Resolution 05-2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Good evening, Mr. Wilbur, again.
Good evening.
You were saying there were some corrections in yellow, is that correct?
It's on page 1.
And this is going to require a formal amendment on,
It will not.
will not? Okay. And the only adjustments were made to Exhibit A, am I correct?
That is correct.
Right. Any questions from the Urban Services Commission in reference to Resolution 5, 2018?
Could Could you describe how it's going to work?
Yes, well, I've said Mr. Taylor and Mr. Abrish, who's here, is the president of the Condo Association. We've all met a couple times to try to work all this out. I think we have worked it out. The idea is to set up how the monies will come in, how they will be paid out, what will be the procedure that will involve Public Works as far as looking at the invoices that would be submitted for capital improvements, and then how finance would take the money in and have the checks prepared to go out. We're going to try to funnel everything through the council administrator as the point of contact for the condo association, and then the council administrator can work with Public Works and with finance. Would you like to go into the specifics any more about this?
I think it's relatively clear. I mean, it states as is in the title that we've never really had a procedure.
Right.
And because this is really a very unique circumstance. So in trying to establish all these guidelines that have been just out there for years.
Right.
We're finally sort of tightening everything up. Mr. Abrish, you've been very, very patient in allowing us to vet this, and we appreciate that as well, and your cooperation. Anything else you'd like to add?
No?
Any other questions from council on this? I mean, from the commission? All those in favor of Resolution 05, 2018, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes.
Next is Resolution Number 04, 2018, to approve a reimbursement of Village Downriver Sewer Plant Repair invoices pursuant to the amended and restated shared facility agreement between Wicomico County, Maryland, Wicomico County Urban Services Commission, and Village Downriver Condominium Association, Inc. This resolution was introduced at the June 5th and tabled to allow additional time to review the invoices submitted by the condominium association that they're seeking reimbursement on. The resolution in the brief book now shows the dollar amount that is to be reimbursed, and if the commission agrees to that amount, a formal motion would need to be made to add the dollar amount to the resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 4, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
So, Mr. Taylor, you had a chance to, did you look over these? And-
Yes.
And your comfort level with this is?
Yes.
All right? Okay.
Any other questions, discussion?
Do you need an amendment to this? Is that
To
correct?
add the dollar amount to the resolution, that is correct.
I'll go ahead and make that amendment. Is that okay, Mr. President?
Yes.
Second.
So add to the resolution 04, 2018, the sentence in the amount of $10,390.52.
Thank you, Councilman Holloway. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Amendment passes. Further discussion on the resolution? Seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 04, 2018 as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes. Thank you, Mr. Wilbur. Thank you, Mr. Taylor, very much. At this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn from the Urban Services Commission so we may reconvene as Wicomico County Council.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? We're now reconvened as the Wicomico County Council. First item on the agenda is the open work session in reference to surplus property at 9765 Barron Creek Road. Mr. Strasburg? Mr. Young? Mr. Baker, are you up here too? Good. If you could just, for the public, state your name.
Good evening, Wayne Strasburg, Director of Administration.
Weston Young, Assistant Director of Administration.
Dallas Baker, Director of Public Works.
Thank you. Mr. Strasburg?
You will recall when we first began to talk about the restoration of the road and bridge, we mentioned that we would attempt to acquire the property, and if acquired, we would then subdivide a homestead, and we would spin that out. We would sell that homestead. We've really reached that point now where we have designated the area that we need to build the stormwater management construct that's going to be required. Having done that, we've been able to delineate a homestead, subdivide it. We have had the property appraised, that homestead appraised. We're really now at the juncture where we should begin to market the property. But a question really comes up. While we have ostensibly given the public notice that that was our intention, I don't know that we've formally designated this as surplus property. So from a ministerial standpoint, we're looking for guidance this evening as to what steps you believe are appropriate for us to then begin to actively market the property. One of the concerns that we have is the length of time, because we would prefer not to carry this property through the winter. The longer the property stays vacant, the more deterioration you have, potential loss of value. We've already had some vandalism on the home site. So to the extent that we could find a way to expedite this, we'd like to do that, but certainly we want to do it in the most transparent manner that we can.
Is that the house that's right on the edge of the road?
Yes, sir.
And it is habitable now?
Yes.
Yes.
It looked like a nice house.
Councilman Kilmer?
So this is just the homestead,
Yes.
the home site, and I understand there may be some other parts of it that may later, you may not need for
Yeah,
needs, yeah.
So,
Let the engineers talk.
yeah, the short answer is yes. There's one other parcel that when we bought the land required to restore the road, it involved this homestead site, 16-acre pond, and on the other side of the water from this homestead site is a small little bit of land that is not accessible by foot directly from a public road, and it adjoins an existing property. We will be looking at that as well.
Okay.
We don't need to subdivide it because it's already listed as a separate parcel in the original plat. So, yeah, we will be coming before you at a later date with several properties we're looking to surplus, and that will be one of them.
Whatever we do with this, should there be some disclosure made to the purchasers that there's gonna be work being going on with that pond as far as restoration, and the road as far as that goes, but, so there's no disputes later on from the person that buys it?
That's a very good idea, Joe. I think that it's appropriate to disclose as best we can what our intentions are for stormwater management
Right.
and the construction of the culvert. So that's
After
very
they
good.
buy it, it might not remain the same as it is.
Correct.
And not their property, but the property next
Correct.
to it might not remain the same
No, I
as it
think
is.
it's a very
in the
good
house.
idea.
Yeah,
Sure.
So that should be something we watch out for, I think.
And on that note, if you look at the provided plat closely, on the pond side, we've included a 40-foot easement for ingress, egress, and regress. In case we have to go out there and maintain our pond, we have access along that. The property owner, it's still their land, but we will have that as an ability to get out there if we need to at a later date.
How do you, in the event that this happens, which we hope it does, I guess, but how do you plan on marketing this? List it with an agency or a real estate agent? Or
That would, yeah, I think, Joe, that would be our preference, to do it that way rather than an auction.
Okay.
I think we
Oh, yeah.
expose it to a much broader market, probably get a better price.
Okay.
Was there much stuff left over when the house was sold? I mean, what was the condition that it was in? Were there a lot of things left behind? I mean, what has the county been doing with the property, I guess, for the past few months? I'm just
General
curious.
Services has been maintaining the property, has been inspecting the property.
Okay.
And I have not been inside, but Pate has told me that it's in good condition.
Usually when somebody buys a property like this, they immediately think, oh, they've got the waterfront there, the pond, or whatever, to whatever degree it is a pond and more. But the first thing they want to be allowed to do is to have access to it and use that pond. And a lot of times they consider their property. So I know full well that would have to be disclosed to them at the time. Is there a process that we have to be concerned about as far as how have oversight, so to make sure that nobody goes out there and, some tragic accident doesn't happen on our property? Is there, are we obligated to create any type of restrictions to that area? Are we obligated to make that, to avoid any liabilities?
Well, I think it would be appropriate to post that notice. y- Actually, I think MDE would probably impose some restrictions as to human access
Okay.
to that managed area. But certainly, I think that to limit that kind of liability, the county ought to post the site as wetlands do not enter. You see that a lot of times when you're on golf courses, you say, do not enter, and people who hit their balls into the wetlands go in there anyway, but.
The signs that work better are snakes.
alligators.
Beware snakes.
But no, I think that we should do that, but I don't know that we're far enough along to really know what the restrictions are that the state would impose. But certainly when we transfer the property, I think we have an obligation to tell the owner that county-owned portion of land is gonna change in terms of the landscape and the structure.
What's the status on the road reconstruction?
Well, they're finishing up the first part of the design. There is we've been approached by Fish and Wildlife that they have some money available for contributing to the project as far as Fish Passage goes. So we're pursuing that with them to try to figure out, okay, how much money can they kick in, or are they willing to kick in for the improvements we're making? Once that's done, we'll be able to move forward with finalizing the design and getting this out on the street.
You had any contact with the neighboring property owner, the Historical Society or anything like that, to try to deal with downstream issues, or it's too early in the process?
Yeah, I have not had any personal contact with them. I think once we get a set of plans that we can show them, that would be a very good idea to reach out to them.
Yeah. So is it still on track to be completed next year sometime? I think it was 18 months from 5 or 6 months ago, so.
Yeah, I would say next fiscal year would probably be on track.
Okay.
As long as we don't get thrown any monkey wrenches in the state regulatory process, we should be able to stay on track.
Yeah, there's a series of permits that will be, and if we touch the channel at all, try to redirect that to make it less detrimental to the road in some format, that will require additional permitting. But so far, the state and the federal agencies we've worked with have been great, so.
Yeah.
So, and the channel is considered as where it goes now, not where it used to go? So that's considered the channel, so that's what the plan
Correct.
is, to leave it as where it breached, not where it used to go off to the side more?
That's what it's looking like right now. There was actually some discussion amongst the different state agencies. Some wanted, well, why don't we internally, the state was discussing with itself whether the channel should be relocated, left in place. And it actually started coming down to the Fish Passage, to the wetland restrictions. It was, so, but it's looking like right now the best option is to leave it in place, is what the state is thinking that they want their opinion to be.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And where is it right now? Is there going to be a culvert underneath the road as it is? There were so many different options being thrown around, but that's where it's going to land right there?
Yeah, right now we are looking at a 19.5-foot box culvert going underneath the road, or going over top of the stream. There's a very narrow window. If we make it 20 feet or larger, it would be considered a bridge, which brings into a whole other set of regulations and inspections and annual reports associated with it. So we have to keep it under the 20 feet. And the folks at Fish Passage want a minimum of 19 feet. So we've got a 1-foot window. So we're settling at 19.5 feet for the size of the culvert. The existing passage for the old mill would still remain in place. We had that structurally evaluated. Everything is fine there. There's some, may need to be some work on the downstream wing walls of the old structure. And there will be also some overflows on the hardware store side of the breach, is to make sure we don't overtop the road again.
This also gets you away from under the control of the dam.
Yes.
The dam
Correct.
safety,
Correct.
yes, it'll be permanently removed from the state's inventory of dams.
Good.
So will fishing be allowed?
No, it's private property.
It's what?
It's gonna be private property.
I was just wondering,
Nobody
sometimes when fish and game get involved, they want to open it to the public.
I know there's the folks at Fish Passage were really excited because there's a certain type of shad that comes in all the way from the Atlantic, and that's already out there now. So we're talking, the dam's been gone for, 2 years? And these fish have already found their way up there, and these are bait fish and feed fish for rockfish out in the bay. So the Fish and Wildlife folks were just ecstatic to see this species out there. So I suspect they probably would be reluctant to allow fishing out there.
Yeah, to be clear, the county is not going to allow fishing in this pond, right?
Well,
In
yeah,
creek,
I think to be
stream.
clear, yeah, it's more of a, if you go out
That's why I
there,
wanted
you'll see
clarification.
it's a creek that,
Right.
that while fish are coming up to lay eggs, it's gonna be questionable if there's anything worth catching there. There's also not a lot of space, no ability to park along the road there, let alone stand safely. So we could handle that with signage, as simple as the earlier suggestion by President Cannon about letting the property owner know, hey, look, the former pond bottom is property of the county and, hopefully going to be part of a WIP process. We could also say no parking, no fishing. We've done that on some of our dams as well, just for safety and liability purposes.
I hope that's not going to be a headache for the new property owner.
Well, it's just the opposite. They're gonna have a pristine,
Give it
pristine
privacy.
view.
Yeah, it's gonna give them privacy.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, any thoughts on our ability to begin to market the property? Or do you want to go through a formal declaration of surplus process?
Well,
Which, as
I
I
would-
understand, is going to take a couple of months.
I would defer to legal on that, because this is the
Yeah.
first, I believe, isn't really that the county purchased a house, a property and sold a house. I don't think we've done this before. And
Yeah.
I would definitely want to make sure that we went through all the legal
Right.
procedures that are necessary.
Yeah, that's the guidance that
Yeah.
we're looking for this
Yeah,
evening.
I don't think there's no council objection to doing this, I don't think. I mean, I think we're,
As far as selling the house, I don't think it's a good idea.
yeah, yeah.
Move the property.
I'd like to see as much money as you can get.
Yeah, so, yeah,
we would.
yeah, I mean, I think the people in the area too appreciate that too, from what I understand, so, yeah, so definitely thank
We'll
you for
get
moving
that
forward
guidance
with
from
this.
legal counsel then.
I think Councilman Hall had suggested it could be a county council retreat.
I think it's a
At
good
one
idea
point in time.
tomorrow.
We'll have to budget for mosquito spray.
So we need to do this by consensus.
Should we have the ability to issue temporary fishing licenses then for the council?
We need to do this by consensus then, so you can go ahead and move forward?
I think what I'm hearing council say is that they would be comfortable expediting it, assuming that we got appropriate sanction from council, legal counsel.
Yeah, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Make sure you're not going to need that land.
I don't think we want somebody questioning our actions a year from now.
Correct,
So-
I understand.
Correct.
That's why we're asking the question.
And I don't think there's any need for the council to be involved in any of the processes as far as how you're selling it, or, you're gonna try to get the best value you can, just as we would, so.
I mean, there is a council role for surplus property and stuff like that.
Correct.
I mean, but in terms of selling it, I mean, it's obviously an executive branch function, so.
Right.
We'll work through that then.
And the attorneys,
Well, yeah.
putting all that together. So it looks to me as if we have a full consensus from the council to move forward.
Sounds great.
Great, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Mr. President?
Yes.
It does require a public hearing, and we can have that on August the 7th if
Thank you,
council
Mrs.
agrees.
Hurley. Okay,
Great, thank you.
good,
Thank you.
great, thank
I'm
you.
just gonna say,
Okay, you may. Entertain a motion
thanks, guys.
from council to adjourn so that we can go into a closed work session.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I didn't hear a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.